And so the great remembering is in the stillness, right here now. The great misunderstanding is that there is something to achieve or attain that is in the future. In a way, it is the greatest delusion of the mind that creates an idea that there is something to get, somewhere to arrive at. We speak about stillness because in the stillness is the revelation that is ever present, eternal. In the stillness is the revelation of who you are as the simple being that is utterly natural and right here now, always. That this truth, this true nature has never gone anywhere. And it is just about coming to a depth of stillness, a depth of natural presence, that the discovery, the revelation is, oh, this has always been here. This is what I have always been. It is a discovery that ends the misconception of being someone and being separate. And the discovery is right now. It's not in the future. There's no special way to say it. It's about the depth of stillness and presence that reveals what is always here. Satsang alone is this. Satsang alone is this shining remembering. Satsang alone is this remembering of a depth of union that can't even really be described in truth as a union, can't even really be described as a reunion. It's a remembering of the oneness, and that what you have imagined yourself to be through the mind's antics is delusion and is not a truth. It is the discovery right here now, in this moment here now, this eternal now, that who you are is the ever-present moment, and that you are not the someone, and you are not the story, and you are not the imaginings and meanderings of the mind. And this is a dawning in a way which brings the revelation, oh, this is what I have always been. This has always been true. This has never been any other way than this eternal light shining. Whatever is happening on the surface of life, the light shines on. The light shines on. This is a light that you are that is never dimmed or diminished, and nor has it ever been. Does not matter what the characteristics are, does not matter how the play of life is dancing, the light shines on regardless. Never dimmed, never diminished, never disturbed, never tainted. The light shines on. And so the great revelation is that you are the light that is illuminating the whole appearance. The light that illuminates, we could say, even the day and the night. The light that illuminates sun and moon. The light where there is no separation, no difference, no discord. The light that is ever bright, radiant, shining. And this light is the being, the eternal being. This light is the heart, the self. It does not matter what words we give this, because it is not about the words. It is about being the being. And the words are merely pointing. It is the best that words can do. It is the greatest offering of the words, is to carry the transmission and to point. And may the pointing invite a spontaneous recognition in this moment of this light that is ever shining and is never dimmed, and this revelation that is not in the future, that this is not a revelation that happens to someone or for someone. It is a seeing through of all of the veiling that we could call ignorance. It is a seeing through of the conditioning and protections that hold a frozen sense of someone being a separate entity, so that all the veiling drops and reveals the glory that is always here, that this light has always been shining, that the light shines on regardless, that it matters not what happens on the surface of life, that this truth is true, is true, is true. The light is shining, shining, shining in the knowing of itself, and this glory is always utterly, absolutely glorious. Right now, the bliss, the peace, the Anand of simply being is right here, and you are this. You do not come to a point where you start feeling bliss. Bliss is who you are. What happens is the obscurations and the habit to look and hold the attention with objects falls away to reveal the incredible discovery and, yes, the revelation that you are indeed bliss. That bliss alone is all that is here, that the oneness, we could say, is bliss. The bliss of being, the bliss of Brahman, the deep, peaceful, blissful aliveness that is self-sustaining and pure, simple, immaculate, perfection, wholeness. And you are this right now. So we remove the misunderstanding that this is something that will be achieved in the future or something that will be arrived at. The future itself is imagined. The past is imagined. There is only now. There is only this moment just as it is. And this moment is full and rich and wholly divine. Of that you can be sure. And you are this moment, this bliss, this light, this peace, this love. And so as these words come, they hold a resonance, carry a resonance, a frequency, and they are a constant offering and invitation to attune to the subtlety of your own being. Every moment is an invitation to attune to the subtlety of your own being and stop the habit to identify. So this is why we speak of stillness and presence and being here now, because this discovery is only here in the stillness. It's not out there. It's not a doing. It's not upon an instruction. It's not something to be understood. In a way, we are inviting the possibility of a depth of stillness where this revelation is already here, shining and abiding in itself. The habit of the attention to identify with objects is not stillness. It's busyness. It's a vibration, a frequency which is dense. And it is essentially a projection of the mind, right? The whole appearance that seems like your life and your world is a projection of the mind that is constantly projecting, creating the sense of time as if there is a moving image, like a movie, moving image, right? That's what it is. But it's not really a movie. It's still, it's stillness. It's this moment, utterly still. When we recognize that this moment is not actually moving into a future, when we recognize that this moment is not actually transitioning into another moment, that this moment is just as it is now, fresh, right now. This moment, fresh, right now. What is here now? What is here now? What is here now? When the projections come in and relax with attention into the simplicity of being, the recognition is that without projection, there is only now. There is only this moment, that there is no past or future. It requires mind activity for past and future to exist. Take a moment, pause, breathe, confirm. It takes mind activity for there to be a future and for there to be a past. It takes mind activity. Without mind activity, without a thought, is there a past? Is there a future in this moment? Without the but, this story, my life, my, but, let it go. Let it go and be here. Be so still. Let the projection, in a way, that moving image projection, just like the old-fashioned movies, let that projector stop. What is the projector? It is your mind. It is thinking. The projector that is whirring, creating the image. Let it stop. Let it break down. Just like an old movie theater where the projector stops whirring and the lights go off. And there is silence. There is stillness. There is emptiness. There is no more story, no more imaginings. And in the stillness, what is discovered is a light that was never lit and a light that is always shining. What is discovered is a peace that is undisturbable and impossible to express on the surface of life. What is discovered is the silence, the peace and simplicity of being, the depth of presence and stillness. That is the invitation, openly, always, eternally here, into yourself, into the radiant heart of light that you are, into the divinity and immaculate this that you are, immaculate, divine, pure, simple openness. Emptiness. This discovery is right here. It is the revelation. It is the revelation of entering the darkness and silence of the cave of the heart. When there are no more distractions, right deep inside the cave, the darkness, the emptiness, the silence, the stillness. The silence is roaring, and that roaring is the peaceful, blissful flow that is the alive presence of simply being. And deep here in the cave of the heart, the true, infinite, wide open heart, where there are no distractions, no more buts, no more projections. There is a stillness, and the stillness is calling itself into itself, into this divine remembering. The stillness, the silence, the simplicity of being. Here now, just as you are. It is to end the delusion of imagining that there is a future, that this is somehow a project for the me to embark upon. Being a seeker is indeed such a project. And so right here now, let us end seeking in the stop, in the depths of the cave of the heart that is ever peaceful, ever silent, has never ever become anything or anyone. And it is to discover the essence nature, your true essence nature, what you belong to, what you have never left, and who you are in truth. And in this revelation, there is freedom. There is utter freedom to know that whatever is dancing on the surface of life, that you are not touched or disturbed by it, that you are not the character, the person, and the story, that you are this deep essence, which is ever free, ever pure, ever simple, ever open to its own infinity, and eternally here, now, present, full, rich, divine, whole, immaculate. Remember, it is not to make a project of removing the veils, not to imagine that there is anything that anyone can do. It is to be here in the stillness, in the silence of being, resting in the wide open, expansive light of the radiant heart. Just being, to be still. And as the silent being, there is a natural awareness here that this silent being is naturally aware and aware of the moving, changing, but most importantly, aware of itself. This awareness is aware of itself, simply being here as the stillness, as the silence, that your essence nature is stillness, is silence, is being, not as someone that is still, but as stillness itself. You are the alive presence that is still and silent. The aliveness is the recognition of consciousness, consciously awake to itself. And as consciousness is awake to its own nature, the aliveness of recognition is here. It's recognized as a resonance, as an aliveness, as a liveliness. But this aliveness is not moving and changing in the ways of the appearance. This aliveness is the alive knowing of consciousness, consciously awake and aware of itself, knowing itself. You are this consciousness, this pure consciousness. The knowing is in consciousness itself. The knowing is not in the mind. The knowing is a resonance, and it is just to attune with the knowing, the recognition, the resonance, the aliveness, the subtle frequency of yourself simply being. So what we come to recognize is this is the source, the silent source of the whole appearance. In a way, we could follow every single thing back, every thought, every appearance, every projection back to discover, where does it come from? Where does it all come from? And we arrive at the silent source where there is no knowing or understanding. There's just now, there's just presence, there's just the self simply being. Of course, the mind says, well, there's nothing here. This cannot possibly be the answer I am looking for. So I will keep looking out there in the jungle of my life. This is the great misunderstanding, that you are looking for something. You are not looking for something. You are coming to the end of looking. And the end of looking, the end of seeking, is the finding of yourself in emptiness. The finding is nothing, is openness, is emptiness. It is an equanimity, a natural balance of simply being yourself. It is not a thing, and it is not an experience. It is not something that comes and goes. It is the discovery of this treasure, this incredible treasure of yourself. And it is here in the stillness, here in the silence of simply being, where consciousness consciously is alive in the knowing of itself. The being is simply being, and the intimacy of being reveals that you are the being. There's no one that is being. It is more simple and intimate than that. It is that the me, the someone, falls away, and the being itself is revealed to be who you are. Just the beingness of being. So intimate, so immediate, now, here, this. A depth of intimacy beyond what could be imagined. Here now you are, and what you are is shining in the knowing of itself. The constant invitation is an invitation into a depth of stillness, a depth of silence, an invitation to stop. And it is not an imagining of the mind to stop all activity in the whole of the life. It is to recognize that the stop is to fall out of the surface of life appearance into the deep substratum, into the deep source, the deep essence that is always the same, and to be the living of life that is arising and dancing and falling in surrender into itself in every moment. So as we come to the knowing of being, the aliveness of presence, the knowing itself that is alive. This aliveness is discovered to be unconditional life. It is discovered to be life that is awake and alive. It has no story. It has no meaning. It is unconditional life that is just awake and bubbling in the effulgence of its own shining wholeness. This aliveness is where the appearance of life is born out of. But when you know your true essence nature, you are this aliveness of life. You are the vitality, the full aliveness of life just living itself. You're not the story or the particulars or the someone. You're the aliveness. As the consciousness that is pure, you are the aliveness. And as the aliveness, you are animating, illuminating, bringing the appearance of creation. But you never become something or someone. You never ever take form in truth. You never ever leave yourself. And yet in the oneness, you recognize in the oneness, in the essence, that all that appears of form, you are too. But you never become a separate entity. You never become someone. You are never birthed into something solid and separate. And therefore you can never die. You are eternal, timeless being in the true essence nature. And it takes for this true and clear perspective of seeing to open in divine remembering, in the now, in the intimacy of now, to reveal what all of this is in the field of intelligence, to reveal what this is and the process of how consciousness is moving to know itself, enliven itself. And it takes this zooming out to know the source of all in order to see clearly a clear, true, full vision of what this all actually is. In the stillness you are. You are not someone that is present or being present. You are presence itself. Presence itself is the nowness of this moment. That is the shining eternal light. You are not someone who is present too. As soon as there is someone present too, there is duality. Someone present too is more than one. The first thought creates a me and an other in some way. So before thought, in the felt sense of being, it is to feel the oneness, the field, the unified field, the Atman, the self, the being, the simplicity of just simply being here. And it is this relaxation of attention away from the moving, changing to be the stillness, be the stillness, be the being, and do not be pulled away by the phenomena. Be the stillness. It is not a doing, it is a dropping out of doing to just feel the felt sense of being, just to be here. And to recognize that here, in the stillness, in the silent presence of being, that there is peace here. There is a lightness here. There is a brilliant radiance of the wide open heart here. There is an intimacy here with yourself that is beyond imagining. Just to recognize before the first thought, without thought, is there a past? Is there a future? It is to recognize what is true and confirm in the nowness of being what is true in the direct experience. The direct experience is all that matters. Old experiences of the past are irrelevant. Let everything go and just be here in the direct experience of being, and recognize and confirm that you just simply are this moment, just as it is. Nothing needs to change, because who you are in truth as the being is completely independent and free of all of the moving, changing on the surface of life. That you're not the story, you're not the happenings, you are the simple, peaceful being, just here, now, just like this, still, silent. And here is the blissful finding. It is the remembering of yourself. The revelation is in this moment. It's not a revelation for someone, and it's not even a revelation that you can hold on to as someone. You cannot hold it as an experience. You can only be awake and alive in this knowing, right here now, 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 ever fresh, ever present, ever awake to yourself, now, 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 now. You see, now is stillness, now is presence, now makes no reference to that moment before, now makes no reference to a future that might come, might arrive. Now, 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 now. Just this moment, the stillness and the recognition of who you are, what you are, and the freedom from the whole story on the surface of life. So yes, it is true that life continues to live itself and the appearance continues to appear. But when you know what you are, it's seen completely differently, that you're not tangled into the story. Of course, where there are tangles, there will be a process of refinement that will untangle as consciousness wakes up to itself at every single point. Every single point of experience will collapse into pure experiencing. Every single point that seems to be holding a position or being something will collapse into the revelation of now. And as all of the points of holding the discordant patternings of consciousness collapse into the flow of unconditional life, the lived direct experience gets smoother and freer and simpler and brighter and more peaceful and more blissful, because you are the bliss. You are the bliss that is flowing. You are the bliss that is, and the recognition of the bliss that you are and the bliss that you have always been is recognized to be the bliss of being yourself. And everything is recognized to be the same bliss. The only substance that is not even a real substance, we could say, as a thing, but its substance is everything. It's the totality. It's all there is. And what is bliss? Bliss is the free field of flowing aliveness. It's flowing aliveness, a flow of bliss. It's this nectarine, flowing ocean. It is the unconditioned life, just flowing and flowing. And you are this. You are this aliveness, this consciousness that is flowing purely to know all of itself. It is flowing. And this is what the sense of your life is. It is the flow of consciousness flowing to untangle itself, to know all of itself in every single crack and crevice, nook and cranny of your life, for this light, this vibrant illumination to reach absolutely every single fiber of your being and illuminate the true nature of every single atom and fiber, so that all atoms and fibers of your being are resonating at the frequency of the being of divine light. So we are opening and opening to finer and finer frequencies, but it happens in the stillness, in the silence, in the knowing of being, in the flow of consciousness, flowing to experience and know itself at every single point, every atom, every fiber of the whole field, in the light of awareness, in the light that is radiantly shining and loving itself. Let's speak of love. What is love? Love is the vast openness. It is the field where there is no separation. There is love. It is the simplicity and the openness of that which just is, that naturally loves. It loves. It loves. It only knows love. There is not two. It does not love itself as something else, just loves. Love is this flow. It is the flow of life, the flow of grace. It is the emptiness, the openness, the freedom. It is God, the holy, the sacred, the purity is love. It is who you are, what you are. You cannot get it as a thing. You cannot get it from anyone else. However big and fantastic it is imagined that the love is in relationship with others, it is never the purity of your being. It is always, always a partiality, a partial thread of the purity. And a partial truth is not wholeness. Here, in the nowness of being, it is to come to recognize that the love that is longed for is the love that you are. It is the constant, undisturbable purity, openness, equanimity of being. And only when you are resting deep in the knowing of yourself can you be this love. And love loves itself. It loves itself, but it does not love with filters. It does not love with condition. It just loves. It just loves. And that love is the seeing of itself in absolutely everything. And love will also move in whatever way it needs to unconditionally to reveal this love shining graciously at every point in the whole field. And so this is why life unfolds in ways that the mind might say feel hard and are unfair and challenging. It is actually the flow of love, dare we say, to a mind that will want to object. But love is always flowing to set itself free from convention and conformity. Love is always flowing to set itself free from egocentric patterning. Love is always flowing to set itself free from misery and the karmic cycles and the sense of bondage. Love is always flowing to reveal that love is always here, shining in the stillness, the silence of this moment, that love is here. It is the openness, the light, the glory, the holiness of this moment, untainted, divine, sacred. The peace, the silence of simply being. As we are grounded deeper and deeper in the being and the knowing of being, there is more of an opening to the love and the compassion and the joy, delight, and wonder. That is the essence, nature, the naturalness of being yourself. But it takes for there to be a ground, right? We can kiss the being and then say, oh, but there's no love here. There's none of those good things that I've heard about here. But that's because the mind is jumping in after a simple kiss and saying, well, it's not the way I imagined. That's because it's back in the mind trying to co-opt a kiss and make it into everything. Just to know that the kiss, the glimpse, the taste, it has to ground in a rooted, anchored, abiding in the knowing of the self, right? A simple kiss is not the marriage, right? How we can mistake a simple kiss for so much more than it actually is, right? So let us come to reality and not be fooled by moods and romanticizing what this is. Let us come to the depths of stillness where we are stripped of all of the concepts, beliefs, and ideas, all of the sentimentality, all of the delusion about what this is, what awakening is, what enlightenment is. Let us be here now before the myths, before the misunderstandings, before the conceptualization of non-duality, where there is just this, the shining glory of da-da-da-da-da, drum roll, this is it. This is it. This is it. This moment, just like this, that it matters not what is happening on the surface of life. It is not about tidying up. It is not about changing everything into some kind of imagined idea of what holy is. It's to discover the holiness that is here right now, underneath identification with the story and the body and the thoughts. It is to discover the holiness of this moment that is independent and free from whatever is happening on the surface of life. It is the glory of this moment, utterly free, independent from all of the phenomena and form and play and appearance. This moment is the shining glory. And it's right here now. So receive the kiss, receive the taste, receive the glimpse, but do not rush into the mind to report and commentate and wonder and make an experience out of it. Receive the kiss and fall all the way in. Be intoxicated by the divine beauty, the nectarine bliss of tasting yourself, of the love that you are, the beauty, the peace, and the simplicity that you are. Here in the stillness, here in the silence, where the finding is of nothing, in the vast emptiness, feel the deep, profound revelation of being the being, being the peace, being no thing, being yourself, being the holy, the sacred, the purity, the untainted divinity of this moment, the true naturalness, the naturalness that is the essence nature of everything. There is nothing outside of this wholeness. And you are this right now, in this moment, in the now, the now, the now, the intimacy of being, the depths of stillness. The revelation is here, the glory is here, and you are it. This, that, the glory that you are. Consciousness is speaking to itself, bringing an attunement, a resonant frequency of itself. No one is doing anything. Consciousness itself is attuning, and it will attune and merge into itself to the depths of its capacity right now. Nothing wrong is happening. If it feels like the mind is buzzing, if it feels like, well, I'm not really feeling the resonance, that is just because consciousness is working in a different way to purify and attune with itself in the unseen, in what cannot be understood by the mind. So do not be disheartened. Do not imagine that you have any kind of understanding about what is happening right now. Be the not knowing, be the flow of surrender, and just allow as the simple being. Can you feel a trust, a deep faith that what is happening here has its own intelligence and is moving intelligently as the conscious field to know itself, purify, transmute, and refine the frequencies of knowing itself? There is a trajectory in consciousness, and it is unquestionably a momentum to know itself. It doesn't go backwards. It only moves to know itself, to be. It has only one flow, and that is a flow to know itself, to be. So whatever the mind imagines about, I'm not getting this, or I'm this, or whatever, it's absolutely irrelevant in the realms of consciousness. Absolutely irrelevant, because who you are in truth, whatever is happening in the mind, who you are in truth is not that. You're completely independent and free of that. The invitation is to zoom out, zoom right out and see, oh yes, I'm not that. What are you? You don't know. What are you? You are the naturalness of this moment, the stillness, the silence, the deep source of being, the essence nature that is underlying everything. The silence, the presence that is alive, alive in the knowing of itself, and shining as the wide open radiant heart, where all of the projections stop, where there's no more distractions, nothing to look at. Alone with yourself. It might feel to start with that you're alone with your mind. Be here. Feel the felt sense of existence. As you feel that you are alone with the mind, watch the thoughts that come and go, and recognize that what you are is not the moving, changing. You're the awareness of the thoughts that come and go. You're the awareness of the thoughts that come and go. And as the awareness of what comes and goes, you start to feel a rootedness and a recognition of the independence, that you are not the thoughts that come and go. You are not the thoughts that come and go. It starts to be a revelation. Oh, what I am is not the thoughts that come and go. What I am is not, because aware of the thoughts that come and go, what I am is still and silent and aware. Interesting. Being yourself, being aware. And as there is this revelation that what you are is independent of thought, the image collapses into the felt sense of being yourself, the revelation that what you are is this pure consciousness that is aware and awake of itself. The revelation that you are not the person that you thought you were, and the felt sense of being everywhere, the infinite field, reveals that you're not inside the body, that you cannot find yourself as someone in the same way, but you can find yourself as a felt sense of being that is boundless, has no edges, a felt sense of freedom, the revelation, the freedom, the releasing of tension. That you are not who you thought you were. You are not what you thought you were. You are utterly free, utterly free. Freedom itself, pure and simple. The radiant, alive field that is infinite, boundless, simple peace. Here you are, knowing yourself, free of mind. Just the glory of being here. Nothing else needs to be known. There's no instructions for how to operate this in the future, right? It comes without a manual. Glory, because what happens to those manuals? You just file them away and forget about them, right? No manual, no instructions, just the alive freshness of being, just the awakeness of this moment, awakeness of this moment. Be awake to yourself in this moment. And in this moment, just notice that if the eyes are closed, really be awake. Let the eyes slowly open, but do not project outwards to start being someone that's seeing. Be the deep presence of being, and as eyes open, allow the gaze to be soft and be so awake. It doesn't matter about the appearance. It does not matter if a herd of elephants stamp right through the room that you are sitting in. It does not matter if fireworks start to go off. It does not matter if the doorbell rings. It doesn't matter anything that can happen. It doesn't matter whether you open your eyes and you still have a family. It doesn't matter, because you know who you are and you're not the one that has to navigate. You know who you are, that you're independent of all of that, that is life living itself and in its own way and its own intelligent revealing. It will show itself to itself as consciousness. You do not need to understand. You do not need instructions. All that is required is to be here now and be the life living itself. It's happening all by itself. It knows how to. It's the ultimate instruction. What is it? It's a field of divine intelligence. It is all that is, and it knows how to be, to live, to navigate, relate. It knows how to love. It knows. Be that which knows, and not that which thinks they know. Be free of that one that thinks they know, that one that is protected and held, and be the flow of life that just knows in every moment that there are no mistakes, There is no better or worse. There's just this moment. And where there is funkiness and resistance and challenge in this moment, the knowing from the true perspective is, oh, consciousness is just working to free itself. It's untangling itself. These feelings that are arising are impersonal, and they're just arising as old stress to free itself, right? There's this simple freedom in being yourself when we don't identify and zoom in and take it personally, just allowing as life living itself, that nothing means anything. We don't have to understand. We don't have to unravel the story as a project. We don't need to know the details. Insights may come. They may bring moments of, oh, wow. Wow. Oh, that's what that was, right? But let it go. Experience it. Flash. Let it go. Don't hang on to it. Don't tell the story. Don't need to make something of it. Don't make it mean something. Because as soon as there's someone making it mean something, calling a friend, sending an email, guess what happened, right? It's just to be fresh in the moment with it. Let it go. Let it go. As consciousness experiences itself, opens to itself, sees itself in the light of awareness, lets it go. It's free. Why would it want to hang out and make a meal of it? I know, let's talk about this for a good long time. Why? Why get trapped? Making more of it. Let consciousness experience it so fully. Get completely wrapped up in it. Feel it. Scream it. Cry it. Shake it. Wow, whatever it is. Let it go, right? Nature, supporting nature. Watch the animals, right? Trauma comes in. What happens? Shake it off. Shake it off. Keep shaking. Rest. Still, still, still. Allow whatever needs to rebalance and harmonize. Move on. Move on. Even if you're limping, right? You move on, right? Nature is such an incredible way to see what we are in truth. We, again, don't give it meaning. Don't be a me that says, oh, that's what I am. Just be the flow. Presence, essence, gesture. Presence, essence, gesture. It's just a flow. It's all flowing. It's life living itself. It's intelligent. It's not personal. Wherever there's a sense of the personal in giving it meaning, take it as a moment, a marker, an invitation to free that habit, to give it meaning, make it mean something to me, right? Just to see where it creates a sense of separation. Don't make a problem out of it, right? It's another way of giving it meaning. Oh no, look what I did. Let it go. Feel it, meet it, let it go. Experience it, let it go. This is the movement of consciousness. It fully experiences itself. It trembles, it shakes with whatever it is, whether it's joy, love, gorgeousness, delight, just the fullness, explosion, let it go. Whether it's resistance, challenge, contortion, let it go, right? Just be the consciousness experiencing itself in every moment really fully. That's why when something comes in that's joyous, it's wow, right? Suddenly you seem to be so excited about everything, loving everything. Wow, because you're seeing as this purity, as this unfiltered, unedited, unprotected flow of life, right? But simultaneously, where protection comes in, see it, feel it. Oh, protection. Oh, conditioning. Oh, habit. Not a problem. Meet it, feel it. Crunchy, contraction, struggle. Meet the feelings. Let the feelings be free to just feel themselves, right? Let it go. Let it go. Let life surrender into itself and flow in the way that it intelligently knows how. In the stillness, in the silence of being, there's a resting in pure knowledge, being yourself. Liberation is already here. There's no one that ever gets liberated. Let that go. Let go of the dream of liberation in this lifetime and be liberation, be living liberation here in the bliss of being yourself. Let go of the imaginings of a future, of what you might become. Be yourself. Yes, in the living of life, there's a refinement of everything into the being, and the living of life at the point gets more vibrant and alive. Be the flow of life, not the one that is taking ownership or imagining that it's mine. It's not yours. It never has been yours. You do not own it. It does not belong to you. You belong to it. Let go and belong to what you truly are longing to belong to, which is your own wholeness, your own naturalness. Let go and be yourself in the stillness, in the silence, right now, right now. The radiant heart that is bright, shining, peaceful, exuberant, joyful wholeness. Mm. 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 Nothing to do, nothing to learn, nothing to achieve, just to be here and attune with the resonance of what you are already. And remember, you cannot hang on to it. You cannot carry it into the mind. It cannot fit. It's just too big to fit into that little old mind, right? So be the big open space in which mind is happening. Watch it. Do not identify with it. Do not try to take this peace with you into the mind. Just be the peace that watches the mind. Mm. Mm. The thing about the kiss from the divine is that if you do not make something of it and make it mean something to someone, the kisses just keep coming, right? And they get sweeter and sweeter and sweeter until you are living in this flowing kiss of the divine, of yourself, this flow of love, this knowing of holiness. Of what is holy here now. Holy wholeness here now. Mm. Mm.